Some slightly tougher radical equations, much like the past video, but these are going to work very similarly to what we've been doing, just one slight little difference, and you'll see as we go. So, to get out of a square root means I have to square both sides. So what you're going to notice already, the difference between this problem and all the other ones we've done is we have an x both under the radical and outside the radical. Well, it starts the same way. The radicals cancel out, and we have x squared. Now we have a quadratic equation. Well, to do that, we got to bring everything onto the same side of the equal sign, because then we can factor x minus 3 and x minus 1. So we'll have an answer of x equals positive 1 and positive 3. Now, the issue with this, when we have answers, when we have an x both under the radical and not under the radical, when we do this squaring, it is possible that we might get extraneous solutions. And the reason why we do is because, remember, your square root graph just looks like this. We're seeing when that crosses, normally when we cross some number. Either it's going to cross it up here or it's not if it was negative. Well, now the issue is we don't have just a single line, a flat line I should say. We have something that looks like that. So I might be able to cross it twice, or what if my line looked something like this? I would never cross that line. So it's possible I get one answer, two answers, or even no answers based on these graphs. And the only way to tell that is to take our solutions and plug them back in to our original problem. So if we do that, if we plug 1 in on both sides, we end up getting square root of 1 equals 1. That's good. If I plug in 3, I get 12 square root of 9 on the right-hand side equals 3. That, again, is good. Okay, so both of those solutions are fine. What's going to happen, some of them, you're going to get something like the square root of 9 equals negative 3, and that is something that is not good. So that would be an extraneous solution. We'll see that, I believe, likely here in this second problem. So let's go through it. We square both sides. Gives you x squared equals 56 minus x, because the square and the square root cancel each other out. Again, bring everything over to the same side of the equal sign. Now we get, when we factor, x plus 8, x minus 7. So we get a value of x equals 8, x equals negative 7. And again, we have to go plug back in to check them. If I plug in 8 to both sides, what do I get? I get that 8 equals the square root of, make sure I set this up right. Now it'll help if I get my signs right here. Negative 8 and positive 7, that looks a little bit better. So when I do that, plug in negative 8, I would get negative 8 equals the square root of 64. Hey, right there, there's exactly the example. So if I take the square root of 64, I get positive 8. Well, obviously 8 does not equal 8, so this guy is no good. This is an extraneous solution, and that's how you have to write it. You show the answer, but you have to put that extraneous there with it to show the work. For the other one, for positive 7, if I plug in 7, I get 7 equals the square root of 49. So 7 equals 7. That guy is good. 7 is still a valid answer. Alright, and this last one, and the one that gets missed the most. Because it's the same idea, we got to square both sides, but make sure we properly square the left-hand side. Square the whole thing. Don't try to do x squared and 6 squared separately. No, you have to square the entire thing. So you'll have to FOIL that, x squared minus 12x plus 36, because again, remember, x minus 6 squared, x minus 6 times itself. Equals the right-hand side, the radical and the square cancel each other out. So the left-hand side, x squared minus 9x and plus 18. When we bring everything over to the left-hand side, this should factor into x minus 3 and x minus 6. So we should get x equaling positive 3 and positive 6. So again, let's go and try to plug things in. If I plug in 3, I get, on the right-hand side, 3 minus 6 is negative 3 equals the square root of something. Uh-oh. Not even caring what that square root is, I know this guy ain't going to work. Negative 3 is not going to equal the square root of 9. So 3 is no good. That's extraneous. The right-hand side, if I plug in 6, 6 minus 6 is 0. Right-hand side gives me the square root of 0. So that guy is good. That's a valid answer because 0 does equal 0. And it is possible, you'll see a couple on your packet and on the work online, that you will get you will get both values are extraneous. That is possible. If so, the whole thing would be a big no solution. But in this case, we have 2 answers for the first and 1 answer each for number 2 and 3. Go get practicing.